John. I'm from StakeCat. And yeah, we're node operators, securing and decentralizing Ethereum. So if you don't know what a node operator is, we basically run the machines in a proof of stake network. Our focus personally is on DVT, which is Decentralized Validator Technology. We also have a focus on eigenlayers, actively validated services, ADSs. Right now we're working with Lido through their community lifeguard program to promote basically staking from home on Ethereum. So we're going to go through DVT today. I'm sure some of you guys know. I know Callum, for example, is pretty familiar with DVT, but it's quite a new technology, so I'd imagine it's quite new to a lot of people here. So we're going to cover that. I'm going to introduce Lido. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of Lido before, but you probably haven't heard of sort of their recent moves into DVT and their latest module that's coming out this year, potentially this month actually. And yes, I'm here to promote staking from home, which is a large part of Ethereum. So I'll touch on Ethereum staking first. So what exactly is staking? Again, I know a lot of you guys know this, but I'll just give a little bit more detail for those that aren't so sure. So it's basically, we spoke about proof of work, right? So everyone knows what Bitcoin is. You got these big hefty machines that have to run a lot of machines, take a lot of energy to run. In proof of stake, you actually put some capital down, and it's the capital that's there, and it's at risk, and it's there to secure the network. You stake, you run some machines, and these machines validate transactions, and in turn they get rewarded for what they do. It's a critical part of Ethereum's security. It incentivizes honest behavior. You've got to perform well as a node operator. If you perform badly, then you lose money. So obviously there's an incentive alignment right there. And yes, it promotes decentralization by allowing many individuals. Anybody can spin up a node and run a machine, rather than relying on a few large entities. So Bitcoin, for example, it's very expensive. You've got to buy big GPU machines, and right now it's now impossible. It's impossible to compete against the large entities. Whereas in Ethereum, anyone can run a node. It's very simple, but there is challenges obviously. The first one, which is very important, is the cost. So it's 32 ETH right now to run a single validator. At current Ethereum price, it's more than 60k now, and probably closer to 70k pounds. You gotta have some technical knowledge. You gotta obviously have resources. You gotta have a computer. Although these computers that you can run are not exactly expensive, they're quite low spec. You need internet, you need power, and of course you're putting your time and effort into this. So it's setting up, monitoring, updating it, all these things. And you've got some risks. I'll touch on some more risks later, but basically your risks are of penalties and slashing, and key risks. So as with anything, you are maintaining your keys. It's not like you're running this in a decentralized fashion. So you have to be careful where they're stored. You really don't want to have them, saved on a random Google Cloud or something like that. So I'm going to now move on to this distributed validators. So this is on Metallic's roadmap. This is actually 2023, so we've come quite a long way from there, but you can see distributed validators right in there. So this is 1 year post merge. So DVT. Distributed validators enable basically many people to run validators together. You could be a group of 4, you could be a group of 10, and in this way you can reduce risk. So DVT right now it makes up around 5% of the network, and I think that's I think that's pretty accurate. Most of it is through SSV. So these logos on the side there, one is OWAL and one is SSV. They're probably the leading projects that are working on DVT. So why should you run it? Well, DVT is perfect because, or it's really good because it reduces risk. So say I wanted to run a validator, and I had a group of friends. We could come together, maybe there's 5 of us. Maybe I have a problem, or something breaks down in my machine, my internet cuts out. If I go offline, then that's totally fine. Everyone else keeps performing their duties, and our validator stays up, and we still earn the maximum reward, provided we're doing our duties well. That means I can fix my problem, and I don't have to like panic. If I'm solo staking and I'm running by myself, and something happens, it's quite a big problem, because the longer you stay down, the more you get penalized. They're not large penalties, but it's money that you could have been earning, so you want to fix that as soon as possible. Maybe you're on holiday and you're going to come back for a week or 2 weeks, then you start thinking about these things, and it can really get you worried. And it's more of a problem when you're a larger like node operator operating at scale. Something happens in your data center. Obviously, a lot of these guys have mitigation. They have nodes in different places, but it's not easy to fix. Whereas with DVT, it kind of solves that, and you effectively buy your time by having these kind of other nodes like taking care of the duties for you. Increased decentralization. Well, if you're running 4 nodes on one validator, then you've already multiplied the locations by 4. Maybe you're all using different clients, and so it's a massive increase in decentralization. And then again, it's more accessible through you pretty much divide the stake. So if it's 32 ETH, say you have a group of 10 people, then you're only paying 3.2 ETH to validate on the network. So it's pretty cool, and allows a lot more people to be onboarded. So what does it look like? So I've taken this from the guys at Obol, and it's a pretty cool slide. So you can see the current validator stack. So you've got the execution layer on top, consensus layer, and then validator client at the bottom. When you switch to a distributed validator, everyone has a choice of what they want to run. So you can see in the stack, everyone's using different clients, which is pretty cool, and that just makes the network so much more robust. Because say there's a bug in one client, in this stack, for example, everything's totally fine, whereas in this stack, they've got to switch pretty quickly. They might have to sync another node, and that takes a lot of time. So the DV really benefits everybody on that side of things. So I mentioned before it was getting close to 5%. SSV alone is around 4.15% of the network. So yeah, they've actually moved very fast in the last year. So kudos to them. So it's a growing technology. Moving on to Lido. Okay, so Lido enables liquid staking. I know, again, a lot of you guys know about this. But it basically means that I can stake my ETH and it remains liquid. I can still transfer it. I can send some to Matcha if I want, or I can send to anybody. I can also trade. I can use DeFi. I can borrow. I can do all these things. So it's a pretty cool thing. Lido's not the only example of this, but I'm just going to focus on them for now. It means you don't have to run a machine, but you still earn the rewards. Your stake is still at risk, but it's socialized across so much stake. So you get a token. It's called staked ETH, and it reduces every day. And it's very liquid. So Lido is quite a large part of Ethereum right now. It's maybe 28% of the network. So it's quite high. In Bitcoin, for example, the largest, I'm not sure which mining operation is the highest, but they're also around 30%, maybe even over 30%. So Vitalik and many people have had or spoken out about Lido in the past, because they basically had a curated set of 39 operators. These operators are based around the world, so it's not like you're comparing Lido to Coinbase, for example, who has one operator. It's 39 operators around the world, elected through the DAO. The latest one that we onboarded was Sensei Node from Argentina. They posted in the forum, they said, hey guys, you don't have a node operator in South America, that's not very decentralized, and they got onboarded. I've heard that Lido are very interested in onboarding a node operator in Antarctica. But so far it's not happened, so we'll see. So what are Lido doing to solve this problem, right? They want to decentralize. Over the last couple of years, they started off with the second solution here, the Semple DVT. And as of today, they have 198 more operators. So that's a huge increase from where they were. I'm actually running in one of these modules on mainnet. It's cluster of 7. It's pretty cool. Like, we have a group on Discord. We talk through problems. Like, you know, if there's updates to be done, we all like message in. Sometimes we're talking about the clients that we're using, the performance. So it's pretty cool to meet these like sort of interesting people through DVT. And then the third solution that Lido is working on and will be on mainnet this year is the CSM. So that's the community staking module. The goal of that is to become permissionless. It's a bonded entry. And yeah, I'm gonna go into a little bit more detail on it right now. Okay, so this basically allows you to put down a bond. So it's between 1.3 and 2.4 ETH. So you would deposit that. That would be locked in a contract, and that allows you then to run your machine and effectively become a validator for, you know, before I said it was 32 ETH. This is giving you the opportunity to run this with much lower stake. The bond gets converted to stake to ETH, and there's MEV smoothing. So MEV in validation, there's MEV rewards basically. Within it's kind of a lottery. So if you are running, if I'm solo staking, I'm running a node from home. You get rewarded. I think it's if you're lucky enough, you'll get like 1 or 2 block proposals a year, and sometimes they're big. That's why it's called a lottery. That's sort of, most of the time it's tiny. You don't really get much, but it gives you a little boost in your yield. So maybe you're earning like, I don't know, 2.9%, and then through your block rewards, you boost it up to like 3.5. But if you're one of the lucky ones, maybe you get a lottery win, and yeah, you're winning. But through Lido, they smooth it, so you're guaranteed to get this higher rate. You're not really playing the lottery anymore. It starts at 1.5 for early adopters, and I'll go on to that later, or 2.4 ETH for normal people, I guess. And that reduces to 1.3 ETH, which is by far the lowest compared to all the other staking. And actually, it ends up you yield about 7% or around 7% APR on your Ethereum when you're running these. So you can see that like it's 3.5 right now if you're running like a solo validator or using like stake ETH or one of the other staking solutions. And with the CSM, it's bumped up to 7%, which is pretty cool. This is the bonding curve, so you put down 2.4, and then thereafter it's 1.3. But if you're in the early adopters, it's 1.5 and it goes to 1.3. So how do you get into the early adopters? I'm sure you're all wondering. The guys that rated and ourselves, StakeCat, we formed a list of addresses that are highly likely to be solo stakers. We basically, well, one of the other guys, Gary, he did a lot of data analysis, and he came back with a number which is much higher than rated, with a upper and lower band. So you know, highly likely and maybe on the fence kind of thing. He basically analyzed a lot of all deposit addresses, and looked, you know, if it's direct from Coinbase, for example, it's probably Coinbase or a larger entity. If it's direct from a clean wallet, another entity probably, or somebody who's extremely privacy conscious, but impossible to tell. If it's from a wallet which has a lot of DeFi activity, well, that's probably a solo staker, because they're not going to be carrying out professional work on that wallet. So that would be very strange if they did. And there's some other lists there. There's the Gnosis solo staker list, which is another chain. Mobile Technique credentials, which I know Callum's actually working on right now. and also good performance in the CSM. They had a testnet for a few months, but it's finished now, unfortunately. So I mentioned you can run DVT, and that lowers the barrier to entry for your bond. Okay, you go from 32 ETH. Say you had, I don't know, 10 people in your cluster, you go to 3.2 ETH. But with the CSM, you can then divide that further. So, you know, say it's, for the sake of argument, or just to make it simple, it's 2 ETH bond, and you manage to like get a DVT group together, maybe 4 of you guys. Then you're only putting up 0.5 ETH, and yeah, you're becoming a node operator, which is pretty cool. And yeah, it's so much more fun and less daunting when you're working together in a group, especially when there's capital at risk. It's nice to be able to like do this on testnet first, like work it all out, talk about everything, maybe try a setup that you're interested in before moving to mainnet. Like when you're doing that all yourself, it's yeah, it's just very daunting. And then that increases security and reliability as well, because like I mentioned before, if you're in a group of 4 and somebody drops off, that's fine. Like the validator continues to validate, you can sort everything out and then just move on. And yeah, increased decentralization. You're getting so many more operators, more clients, more geolocations. Cool. Another thing I want to talk about is no-code solutions. I don't know if you guys have heard of DAppNode or Avado before, but they're pretty cool. They're these little boxes literally just fit into the palm of your hand. Plug and play UI. You go through the UI, you select whatever you want, and yeah, you're an Ethereum home staker. Super simple, and yeah, really nice. I want to touch on some risks. So, solo staking, as I mentioned before, there's key risk. The biggest risk is when you're migrating machines. You could take the keys, you could lose them, or maybe you're silly and keeping them online. You have performance risks. These aren't much of a problem, to be honest. If you're offline for 1 day, it'll take you 1 day to earn back the Ethereum rewards, so it's no biggie. There's software risk from the clients that you're running. With Lido CSM, there's some smart contract risk. This is new technology, so you never know until things are a bit more settled. And there's performance risk as well. With DVT, you share responsibility, so there's no real performance risk unless a very highly improbable black swan happens and all 4 are like wiped out in one go. And then there's software risk because it is new technology as well on OWAL and DVT, on SSV. So yes, are you ready to become a home staker? This is us. We are StakeCat. You can see our logo on the chest. We're part of Lido's community lifeguards. We're a group of seasoned Ethereum solo stakers, committed to developing the community of stakers in Lido on Ethereum. Our goal as node operators and through Lido is to spread awareness and help people to come up and to become validators and promote security and decentralization through